Okay, everybody, welcome to the Leicester Lives podcast in association with Igloo Staffing Solutions. Many thanks to our sponsor. As always, if you like what you see and if you like what you hear, hit like, hit subscribe, and leave us some feedback. Now, today, another interesting Leicester Life. Somebody I've known for a very long time, Scott Cobden, aka Cobbo. Scott, thanks very much for coming along today and being a guest on the Leicester Lives podcast.
Thanks for having me, mate. Long time no see, and as you say, yeah, we go back for quite a while.
And we'll talk about that more in a second.
I'm sure we will.
Now, as always, let's roll it all the way back and tell me about growing up in Leicester.
Whew, okay, right from the start. Born 72, Warwick Street, off Tudor Road. Mum and dad marital home. Don't have many memories of a young age there. Mum and dad split up when I was about 3, 4. Me and my mum moved back to my grandma's house, which was New Parks, Frolsworth Road. Moved in grandma and granddad for, I don't know what feels like, probably a year or so. And then my mum sort of got into another relationship and we moved into this gentleman's house in Helena Crescent off Halifax Drive. Right. So sort of different end of the city. Like I say, only probably 5, 6 years old. Moved into a house where this guy had got 2 daughters. They became my sisters. So instant family. I was the new kid. He split a bedroom because it was a 2-bedroom house. Split their bedroom down the middle, and I had a small box room. We outgrown that house and we moved to Mowmacre Hill. And that's where my memories of growing up in Leicester start. So Mowmacre Hill during the weeks and down my dad's at the weekends, which was the Tudor Road end. Just
tell us a little bit about Mowmacre Hill, how it was at the time, because we know how it looks now, but what it looks like now is very different from...
Fortunately, I escaped when I was 16, but when I do drive up there, it's exactly the same. It looks the same. Obviously, the old features like the Tudor Rose pub and the last straw at the bottom, which was the Yowie when we was down there when I first moved in, they've all gone and disappeared. But typical council estate. Everybody knew everybody. Doors were always left unlocked. You hear this all the time, but it was true. Doors were always left unlocked. There was relatively low crime in the area. Full of characters, gosh, likes of Gorse. I mean, I lived on Border Drive. So as a kid, I'd got Paul Brogan, people who know really well, Paul Johnson, Billy Baisley over the road, Ash, names that you could reel off. Yeah. Great fun. Really just remember being a kid and it being really, really good fun. Summer holidays lasted for a year and a half. And it'd be, you'd wake up in the morning, Mum would throw you out the house with 30, 40 pence, lock the door, and I was allowed back in when she got home from work. Led to a great lifestyle. It was really enjoyable.
And if you were to go up to Mowmacre Hill now, bearing in mind you wouldn't be leaving your back door open anymore or whatever, no. How does it make you feel sort of looking back? Because slightly idyllic times when you look back.
Yeah, slightly nostalgic looking back. Evokes great memories, lots of great feelings. Evokes great memories of my mum, who passed away year 2000, quite young, at 50 years old. But I like Mowmacre Hill. It holds a lot of fond memories. The youth club, the boys club, like I say, the summer holidays, getting up to no good, skiving from school. You'd have one house where his house was the safe house to sky from school, and it was people. We all done the same thing. Do you know what I mean? It was all typically. Very politically wise, wasn't my forte. I was a kid. Very Labour ran, the typical council estate. Just overall a nice place. Not so much now, same as lots of areas. Wouldn't be leaving my door open up there anymore. But my stepdad still lives there. Border Drive is still on the same house, still there now. Tony Stoddy, bless him. So.
Yeah. What about school days then, Scott? Which schools?
Early school days, so primary-wise, it was Belgrave C of E. Don't know how that come along. But yeah, I went to Church of England School on Thurkston Road. Standard for school kid, little bit naughty, got on with it, didn't cause too much troubles, but I was always the one that was being noted of keep your eye on him. 4th year before we left, ran away from home, from the school. Me and a guy called Scott Sims, we decided that morning, that's it, we're off. We don't want to live with his parents no more. Big wide world kids at about 9, 10. And all we'd got was this packed lunch that we'd been set off to school with a day. And we decided to head towards Abbey Park. And we'd literally got down the canal by about half a mile and we'd had us packed lunch. And back then there was a guy called a parker on Abbey Park. We'd ride round and he collared us and took us back to school, and that was that. So from there, Belgrave C of E, I went to Beaumont Leys. Most of my friends went John Ellis, because that was a down the road school. Sure. I went to Beaumont Leys. My sisters were at Beaumont Leys. So I ended up at Beaumont Leys, which again opened my friendship circle another avenue. So I'd got my dad's end, I'd got Mowmacre Hill, and then I'd got Beaumont Leys. So I'd got sort of 3 lots of friends in lots of different areas. And Beaumont Leys was great fun, great school.
Yeah, I was going to say, what type of school was it?
Fun. I did, by the sort of second year, I did decide that school wasn't for me. It was that early in my school career. I wanted to be earning money.
Yeah.
Hook or by crook. I was wheeling and dealing and buying and selling anything I could make a raise out of from quite a young age. I went, and I didn't go as often as I should have, but when I went because it didn't get my mum in trouble. Because if you didn't go to school back then, somebody would go around and knock on your mum's door. Somebody would write your mum a letter, your mum would get in trouble. So I went to school for that reason. I didn't knuckle down. I wish I did, as everybody says now. I wish I'd have listened to what they told me then and knuckled down. Career path would have changed, but I don't regret any bit of it because there were some great times at Beaumont Leys School. Great times.
So when did you leave school, Scott?
So the final year was like you're sort of 16 years old, and I think I left the minute that they said you don't have to be here because you've got exams, but we want you to be here, was sort of the thing I'd got in my mind, and that's me gone. I was off. I had a flat at 16. I'd moved out of my mum's house to my dad's, so I was spending more time down the Tudor Road end. Decided to get a flat, 15, 16-year-old. Dad was a driver for a living. I'd been driving from 13 years old, so quite a confident driver. So I bought a car at 16 and a half, 17, 2-litre gear, Cortina. And I remember going to, I think it was the last exam at school, and to show you how I did treat school, I chose childcare as one of my options. And I chose it because I thought it'd be an easy ride, and it'd cause upset because it was a girls' subject. And I remember the teacher, when I chose it, I walked into the first lesson, and her actual words were, "You've just chose this to wind me up." And it worked. That was the exact response I wanted. But I'd done it, I stuck it out, and I'd done all my childcare course. I didn't pass it, I didn't get no result. But I remember turning up to my last exam in my Cortina at 16, and I remember a teacher standing in the car park and saying, "You can't come to school in a car." And I said to him, "Then I don't come to school." And his words were, "Okay, then just park it over there next to Mr. So-and-so." Because it was just, it seems funny now, my daughter thinks it's horrific when you tell her, but that was just things that lads had done, and it was sort of, I don't know, accepted, but it worked, and I got away with it.
So when you're just about to leave school, Scott, with a plan, without a plan, half a plan?
No plan whatsoever. So, like I say, got a flat. Now, my flat was on King Richard's Road, in between the Crow's Nest and what was the Bosworth pub, above a second-hand shop called Baz's, Baz Osborne, Baz's Mart. Me and 2 friends, Sean and Johnny, decided that, again, we're going to step out into the wild world. They were a couple of years older than me. I was the youngest one. So 16, 17, I'd got my own flat, making my own way in life, no job. I said any job I got was cash in and work. I'd done plasterers, labouring. And what I seemed to do is settle by working downstairs with Baz, the guy at the second-hand shop. And it wasn't actual work, but I'd help him out. And in repayment, he said anything he didn't want to buy, I could have nods on. So it led to buying some bizarre, ridiculous things, but I always managed to earn a drink out of it. And that drink either paid me, the rent was 50 quid a week. We paid it every Thursday morning. Now with 3 lads, I'm a bit of a scally. The other 2 lads sort of weren't as bad as me, but could follow suit easily, quite easily led. Some Wednesdays, we'd have no money between the 3 of us. So we'd go out, and then back in the day, it was called lurching. We'd go out lurching. And our thing was car stereos. It was a big, it was a big thing back in the day. So on a Wednesday night, we'd nip out, unfortunately find somebody's car left unopened, car stereo would be away. Second-hand shop was our rent place, so we'd go downstairs, rent due, Baz would go, "Yeah, we've got no rent, we've got a nice blow point," and he'd go, "Covered your rent for this week," and we'd survive another week. And these times were great, because all 3 of us, we'd throw 30 quid in a pot between us, and Aldi was a massive thing, just opened, St George's Retail. And we'd go shopping, and you'd spend 30 quid in Aldi, and you'd need a van to get it home in, because it'd last you a lifetime. So all your money was to go pub, or go out at the weekends. And I was fortunate, because, like I said, growing up that area, the Bosworth pub was, for me, one of the best pubs in Leicester. I was growing up in there and going in there from the age of 13 with my dad. That was his pub. We'd go in there before we'd go to the King Richard Road Working Men's Club. So most Friday nights, Saturday dinners, Saturday nights, Sunday dinners were spent Bosworth first, Working Men's Club next. So again, you got to know a lot of faces. So from the age of sort of 14, 15, drinking in there at sort of 16 then, myself, you'd got the likes of all the older football lads, the Morbs, the Harrys, and all the older lads that I knew really well. And life from there just became fun. It was easy, it was no pressure. Money was quite easy to come across, because wheeling and dealing always earned something for the weekend. And that led to the start of your rave scene, your diehards. the Richmond, we had the Magic Triangle. So it was the Bosworth, the Crowies, the Richmond. And you know the lads that sort of drank between them sort of three pubs. So that introduced me to a massive world in everything, in every aspect. Be it drugs, be it stolen items, be it anything illegal, anything straight, between them three pubs was a hub. And I followed that quite well, but not too deep, if you get what I say. It was always an interest.
I was going to say, what are your early experiences with the rave scene?
For me, it just breaking through. I never got on with ecstasy. From a sense, I like Wiz at the time. It was that sort of thing that I could go. Die Hard was my sort of early spell. I remember a couple of warehouse parties on Tudor Road. Again, being a young lad at the Threads warehouse team. Remember a couple of illegal ones being there. Blackbird Road, remember the illegal ones being there. A couple of the illegal ones that Willow and those guys ran. The Langtons. I remember one that Sean done in Highfield, the first Langton. So I remember all the smaller raves. Granby Halls, Nemesis. That was my first official licensed big rave, which was amazing. That was just, what a great night that was. But for me, I sort of matured into the... Die Hard was the one where I'd end up on a Friday night, and then I'd straight into work on a Saturday morning at Mark's Electrical. Straight from Die Hard straight into it, and I was a van driver. Well, messy Saturdays they were, gosh. And then from there, I think my music scene, I didn't quite hit the rave because everybody hit the ecstasy well and enjoyed the ecstasy, and it didn't do it for me. So I got into my drum and bass, which was jungle back in the day. So just after the rave had sort of petered its day out and jungle had started becoming a thing, that's where my music and going out for music had sort of hit. But living around there, having that sort of connection to, as I say, the names that were running raves at the day. There was always plenty to do, plenty to go, and I remember them all fondly. But
I was going to say Die Hard, that's a name from the past.
Isn't it just? What a great club. I felt very fortunate at Die Hard because I was a young kid. Knew all the doormen, knew Sean really, really well. Drinking in the Bozzy as a kid. I remember being in the Bozzy, I couldn't even pick the age, I'm probably 15, 16, I walks in and Sean, who owned Die Hard, was in there on his own. The place was empty and he just had his daughter, I think it was, one of his daughters had just been born. And he forced me to have a drink in there with him. I say forced me, you weren't allowed to leave till you toasted the babies. And at 15, he was making me drink double vodka and neat lime shots. But because I knew him so well as a kid, I could walk down Die Hard and there'd be queues galore. You'd walk straight to the front, the Dorman Moore, Barry, Willow and all them, in you go. Sean had never let you pay to go in, so it was a great place. I've got great fond memories of Die Hard. And you sort of forget, because we took that for granted, you forget how big and pioneering that club was in its day, for a rave club, for a happy hardcore club. It changed the way that the doors were ran at clubs. Everybody wanted Die Hard door staff because they were the best door staff. Everyone wanted Sean involved with something because he was very good at what he did. I remember nights where you'd stand in Die Hard and Sean would walk around, and if you weren't dancing, he'd throw you out. And he'd come say to you, dance or leave. This is a club where I want you to be happy, and that's the sort of memories I've got. I've got some fond memories of Die Hard. So
you're wheeling and dealing at this particular time. When does thoughts of paid employment come in, as in legit paid employment?
Okay, so living on King Richard's Road at Baz's, next door to Baz's shop, Mark Smithson, CEO of Mark's Electrical, had just opened Mark's Electrical. And it was his van was pink and yellow, ridiculous colours I remember at the time, tiny little shop, and he was selling second-hand washing machines that he was doing up, cookers, he was cleaning them up, type up, and selling them. And I remember I passed my driving test, so I was about 17 and a half at the time, and he just said to me, he said, Scott, do you fancy doing a couple of deliveries for me? I'll give you 15 quid. Just do 3-4 deliveries in this morning for me. I was like, 15 quid per I mean, yeah, all right. So I jumped in the van, done these 3 deliveries. 2 days later, he said, look, he said, do you fancy doing 1 or 2 days in a week, just in the mornings? I'll give you 15 quid for each morning you do, cash in the hand. Well, I'd not got housing benefit because I was still too young, really, at the time when I took my flat on, so I'd got no way of paying my means. That's like cash in hand covers some of the rent. So away we go, and then that transpired to where he took me under his wing, because I was a lad, bit of a scally. I wasn't the most well-behaved lad. And he said to me, I'll give you 5 mornings a week, and I'll give you 75 quid. So I'm like, well, that covers my rent, gives me 25 quid, and I've still got time to do what I want to do in the afternoon. Couldn't be any better. So off I went, jumped in with Mark's Electrical, started with his driver, delivering all the bits all around Leicester locally. That got busier and busier. And I don't know how, this is where my introduction to yourself, I don't know whether you'd come in the shop to buy something or our paths had crossed, and I don't know where that came into. But I remember you coming in and we were talking, and you said to me, I've got a bit of a plan here that we could do. And I was like, okay, what's this? I could get you working here legally, because I told you I would cash in hand and Mark looks after me. And you can claim housing benefit then for your flat. And you also get another 75 quid, because they'll pay you what Mark's paying you. And if Mark wants to give that you, it's your double bubble straight away. So I thought, well, this sounds enticing. And tell me a bit more. And it's all legit. And Mark was earwigging and was like, yeah. And you were saying, so I'm working for this company called LET, Leicester Employment Training.
That's right.
And he says, what you need to do is come down and tell me what you want to do. He says, so we'll arrange a time. And we did all this on the free. He says, but we need a story. So as the time arranged between me and yourself, he said, right, come in at 12 o'clock and get Mark to ring at 5 past. He said, but you need to come in. He said, you need to come in and tell me you've always wanted to be a washing machine repairman since you left school. It's the only thing you've ever wanted to do. So in with pops and knocks on your office door for this meeting at 12 o'clock, sat down at a desk like this, talking to yourself, and there was other staff behind us here, like sort of behind me. And you was like, right, Scott, and we were playing like we didn't know each other. What do you want to be? And I'm really overselling myself. Oh, ever since a kid, I've been tinkering with washing machines. I can't leave them alone. Bang on 5 past 12 as I'm telling you this. This phone's rang behind in your office, and the ladies answered the phone. And sort of, we're trying not to give this away at any time. And this lady's gone, Justin, you're not going to believe this. I've got a bloke on the phone looking for a washing machine repairman. So you've gone, really? Ask him where he is. So she's gone on the phone, can I ask where you are? And she's gone, Mark's Electrical, King Richard's Road. So I've gone, I live next door to there. Literally, I live next door to there. And you've gone, no. And I said, honestly, I live next door. I know where they are. So you've gone, ask him when they want somebody to start. And I think this is 12 o'clock. I'd already been working in the morning with Mark. And you went, ask him when he needs somebody to start. And this lady's on the phone, when do you need somebody to start? And she's gone, oh, you need somebody to start ASAP. When can you start? I said, well, I could start this afternoon if you want. So she's gone, you're never going to believe this. We've got a young lad here who's wanted to be a washing machine engineer all his life, and he can start tomorrow, and he lives next door. So she said, look, we've done all this paperwork, bang, there we go. 18 months. My wages doubled overnight from 75 quid, which was okay wage, to be fair, back when I was 17. Doubled to 150 quid. My rent's being paid now legitimately on housing benefit, because I'm legitimately on this scheme. And I'm working for Mark's Electrical, which is becoming a very busy little shop. So 18 months flies by this contract, and I remember phone call comes, Scott, it's the end of this contract, you know. And I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm really enjoying doing this, Justin. And you were like, yes. Do you want to stay on it? And I was like, oh, I'd love to. And I know Mark would love me too, because obviously it's all legit this way. And you said, look, there's a way we can get around this, but as long as you don't mind coming down and telling us you can't read and write. So I'm like, well, I don't mind doing that, mate. So bang, away we go at the end of this contract, and we get down there, and I'm like, yeah, no, I've never been able to read and write. Bang, there you go, another 18 months on this contract. So for me, yourself play a massive, massive part in the start of what became my legitimate career for myself, my sales career. Because without that leap up, I'd have still been a 75 quid off a couple of days a week with Mark and scallying around. But what it done, it gave me focus now. I've got a career in front of me. This guy, Mark, has put his trust in me. He's a very clever guy. This guy was not too much older than me. Nice flash car, got a business head, very, very keen at earning money, knows how to earn money. And he did tell me he saw a salesman in me, he knew I could sell, but he needed to mould me. He needed to shape me into what could become somebody suitable for Mark's Electrical. And yourself playing a part in that, yeah, absolutely great. And
look at the size of Mark's Electrical now.
I was just going to say, so when I started with Mark, I think we were doing 48 to 50k a year when we started, which again, back then, self-employed guy on his own, not a bad wage. Margins were tiny. He was buying cheap cookers that were second-hand and ruined. So his margins were quite big. He's doing circa 100 mil a year now, out of a massive union bonus. But I would always say, I've got a lot of time, a lot of respect for Mark. 'Cause like I say, he did take me under his wing. He taught me not only the better ways of selling to people, but he taught me about never judging people who walk in the shop. Everybody's paying for my wage, the electric for the day. Everybody who comes in this door is contributing to me. And he taught me that at an early age, and it made selling very easy.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed every bit. And we parted company in late 2000, early 2001. The year my mum died is when we parted company. My daughter was being born probably the week after. So you can imagine the missus's reaction when me and Mark parted on a tiff and arguments. We'd have an argument nearly every day of the week. And this one just went that little two-step too far.
Yeah.
And I never went back. And I remember walking around the block, and normally I'd walk around the block, straight back in the door and make a cup of tea and carry on with my job. And this time I walked round the block and carried on going down one road and didn't turn around the corner to go back. And I just thought, I'm not doing it, I'm not going back now. I gave him everything for me, for Scott Cobden, 6 days a week. He put his trust in me and I gave him everything back in return. I couldn't do any more for him. And I remember walking home and bringing Amanda. And like I say, she was either 2 weeks before we were due our first baby. And I'm on the phone and she says, "Oh, you're all right." And I went, "I've quit the job." That went down like a lead balloon. I can absolute lead balloon. So she's now, "What do you mean you've quit your job, blah, blah." And I literally, my words were, "I'll be all right, I'll do something." And got literally, a couple of months later, I sat up in bed and I just went, "Designer radiators." And it was about 4 in the morning and Mrs. has gone, "What are you on about?" I said, "I'm going to open a shop selling designer radiators." And I got this fixated in my head for a couple of days, started doing a bit of research in it, and it was at a time when money was being lent to people for free on credit cards. Remember that big boom we had where everyone would do their house up on a credit card and worry about it down the line, and this became a massive thing. So I started the radiator shop on Allendale Road, found a premises, filled it with designer radiators, and for the first 6 months I just remember sitting there thinking it's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. To the point I'm like, what have I done this for? I spent thousands on advertising, I've got no sale coming through the door, I've taken no money, and then literally on the 6th month it went mental. And when I say crazy, within the end of our first full year, so my second trading year, we finished on £980,000 turnover, and the margins were massive. I was the only person really doing it. We were the only shop in the UK with 40% margins on some products. So I'd gone from Cobbo off the estate, scratching around, earning a living the best I can, to having a business turning over £1 million with great margins and no competition. And it just seemed, wow, this is like great, I'm really enjoying this. I won't say went stupid, but then decided to buy a bigger house. It was fortune, it was great, and I don't regret any part of it. So we ended up with an 8-bedroom house in LFE that we converted, made back to a 4-bedroom, but I had a games room, cinema room, my office there. We bought a place in Portugal. I was 28. We went on holiday for a weekend for my birthday and come back with a flat in Portugal. And it feels, even now it feels great. And I've lost all of them. They all disappeared in the end. They all went, which we'll get to. But never regretted any of it. And it was nice. And this all came through my stemming of what Mark taught me in business, how to approach business properly, how to look after your business-ish, and more so look after your customers and knowledge of your products and being able to be confident in selling your product to a person. And it led to a great lifestyle.
And who were your customers with those radiators, Scott? I always remember, you know, I was around that area quite a bit at the time, you know, and I always used to wonder, who's your archetypal?
My life went mad. And when I say went mad, general customer base, because we was online, it was the start of the internet. We couldn't sell online because there was no such thing back then. There was no e-commerce. Your internet site was a brochure. But that attracted a lot of customers, wealthy customers. Because these radiators, some started like £3 a radiator. But Allendale Road became a bit of a hub for Leicestershire at the time, being good for sports. Leicester in the Premier League. Obviously the year, Savage's year, that era, Muzzy is it, and Darren Eady, and all of those. All shops on Allendale Road, all had their hairs cut on Allendale Road, all let on Allendale Road, all went Bang & Olufsen on Allendale Road. So the Tigers team, again, very experienced, very great team. The cricket team, Leicester County Cricket, they all shopped up there. So my life went from sort of Mark's Electrical to me having this shop on Allendale Road, and all my customers were, at the time, A-list footballers and sports stars that all became friends. And even now I've still got phone numbers in my phone that sometimes I scroll past and I'm like, I've still got his phone number. Oh, Matthew, I've got his phone number. But they all became customers of myself, and they all spent lots of money with me, and it was really, really good. It was a great time to be up there. Unfortunately enough, I'd been there 2.5 years, and like I say, we'd been turning over some good money. My landlord rang me and asked me if I wanted to buy my shop, which was quite unbelievable on Allendale Road. Nobody buys their property on Allendale Road, they all rent them. My dad's house had no mortgage on it, so Dad straight away went, well, if you need a deposit, borrow against the terraced house, and there's your shop. So we bought the shop. So that took my property total. We had LFE, we had Foss Road, where we're now, my dad's house on Tudor Road, place in Portugal, and shop and flat on Allendale Road. So I'd become in my head, I'm this property magnate, got a portfolio of properties and a successful business. And yeah, we rode that way for quite some time.
So when did it start to go wrong?
When the big sheds got involved. So what happened is your likes of B&Q, I'd cut the big sheds being your B&Qs, your Wixes and all of those. So by then time, we're five years in, it's become a market that's become quite popular. And obviously with all big sheds, they cheapen the products, they slash the prices. You've got similar looking products at half the price. So people start going to the big sheds. Manufacturers who I'd been dealing with for 5 years direct realise that, or think that they need to be into the big sheds. So it got to a point where some of the products I was selling and buying direct from the manufacturer, I could buy cheaper from B&Q. That doesn't start to tally in my head, obviously. And at the same time, banks started pulling overdrafts in. And at that time, we'd built up great rapport with lots of big companies that we were supplying to. I.e. we builders in Leicester, big builders in Leicester, would ring us and order 200-300 towel rails a time, which was great, a great turnover. But it got to the point where then they started asking for 2 months, 60 days on their terms. And I'm only getting 30 days from manufacturers. That takes your clash for very quickly. It started to become a point where I was working for free. I was looking, the bank account cash flow wasn't where it was. They started then asking 90 days. I'm still getting 30 days, but you're having to fall into this 90-day trap to get paid. And then all it took, one, goes bust on you. You're into them now, you've got them 8 grand's worth of credit for 90 days. They've gone bust. The last orders I've done and broke my back for, I'm now losing money on because I've got to pay for this order. And it took 1 or 2 of them. The bank pulled my overdraft on me. That's it done me. Come to the point, I went to my accountant's, called us in. We sat down on a table like this, and he went, "You ain't making no money." He says, "What do you want to do?" And I went, "Wrap it today." And he went, "Literally," and I said, "Yeah, what do I need to do?" And he went, "We could put an insolvency act in," and blah. I mean, this was all going over my head because my head was everywhere. And I sold everything I won't say I, sorry, that's me and my partner, me and Amanda. We sold everything we owned to pay off any debts that the business had. Because even as a limited company, I still couldn't walk away owing people because I'd worked with these people for so long and I'd become friends. And these people weren't massive limited companies. Some of these people were sole traders like myself. And I paid off every single debt I had and wiped my backside, wiped my arse, and walked back into a 4-bedroom house that we kept, that my daughter was born in, that was our first house that we bought together, a family home that we never got rid of, and walked back into that, and that's where I am today. Don't regret any of it. And
I was going to say, I mean, absolutely fair play to you for that, Scott, because, you know, I've had many businesses over the years, you know, and I've had people go pop on me a few times, you know, and they just walked away. And sometimes, you know, one of them last year, you know, went bust, inverted commas, owing me 9K. And then 2 months later, under a new guise, was trying to get me the same business again, you know. So the fact you paid off the debt.
Not fair. I don't know. I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't. It's not me. It's not my ethos. It's not my personality. I'd pay my debts, get them clear. Everything I sold was materialistic, and it took me to sell them all and to lose them all for me to realise that they were just materialistic. They were things that I'd accumulated. Unfortunately, most of them had given us a little drink. So we'd had Portugal for the best part of 10 years. We'd had 7-8 holidays a year over there, every year for 10 years. So they were free holidays, in effect. I mean, when we sold it, we made 20 grand. So we didn't lose on anything we'd bought, but we had to dispose of everything we bought. And that's what helped me pay off all the chunks of debt that the business has accrued over the time. And
that day you decided to wrap it, had you consulted Amanda?
Yes, yeah, she'd wanted me to wrap it way before then. She's a sensible one. I'm feet in, she's heads there. We're yin and yang. She's the one that stops me from doing everything like that because I do dive in. But she was like, "No, let's wrap it, let's wrap it." And obviously, it's my baby, it's my business. This is my first one. It's been successful. I'll get it back. And it's just got to the point where it was like, no. And I walked out of that accountant's probably feeling the best I'd felt for 10 years at least. Just weight off my mind.
So what happens now then? Because obviously, the next day, as I always say to people,
the next day felt great. To be fair, that following morning felt great until it sunk in. I'd got a 1,400 quid a month mortgage, a property in Portugal, another property that we'd got rented out, which was government mortgage, but we'd got responsibilities now to pay for, and then income not coming in. Fortunately enough, at the time we had the radiator shop. During that time, we'd launched waterprooftv.co.uk. And I remember in my office, I used to sell all the TVs for bathrooms, and we specialised in those and outdoor TVs. And we were, again, I was fortunate, it was quite early in that market. And again, we pioneered that market. We had the website, we had all the products with all the best manufacturers. And again, we fell into a clientele basis of high-end sports people that we'd supply to. Yachts, we'd done Abramovich's yacht, we'd done Giorgio Armani's yacht, we'd done ridiculous. The amount of people we dealt with on that was great, and it was a different world. But I could do that from home. So the day after, I said to Amanda, well, I'll just, Waterproof TV, I own that domain. That wasn't in a limited company, that was my own domain. I said, so I'm just going to keep that going. And this will bring us an income in. So for a short while, that brought us some income in to keep the house and do what we was doing. And exactly the same pattern. You started to get cheap Chinese Far East imports coming in at a third of the price of what I was selling them for. People were buying them, and slowly the sales of that started to dwindle. Also, at the same time, I'd spent so long dealing online then, because online was the way to go forward. I'd lost that face-to-face aspect of enjoying talking to customers. And I just said to Amanda, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go back to doing something what I enjoy with customers. I want basis where I want to talk to people. And we ended up selling, when we lost the house, we sold that and we'd moved back to, like I say, where we were. And I just woke up again, another epiphany morning, I went, I'm going to open a second-hand shop. And Amanda was like, you what? And I was like, I'm going to open a second-hand shop. I said, that's where I started, a second-hand shop. That was my thing, and I'd never been as happy as the second-hand shop. So she was like, yeah, but you've been doing all these things in a second. I said, yeah, it's just an easier life. And literally, I went next day, drove down Narber Road, found the premises, went and took the lease on the premises. I spent, while the lease was being sorted, I spent the next month and a half at auctions, buying stock and getting it all ready, and then bang, opened what at the time was called Cobbo's Mart on Narber Road, and then changed that to West End Vintage when we sort of moved it across to a vintagey style business. And then my dad passed away. He was best mate. He worked with, he was employed with me. I took him by my side for years. 10, 15 years I had him by my side, and dad passed away. Quite quick, quite a shock. Literally, we found out he'd got cancer. They told him not to cash his pension in. Don't cash your pension in, you won't die of this. 2 days after they told him that, the rang us and said, can you nip back in to see us, and give him terminal diagnosis. Sorry, he was wrong. Dad being dad, hilarious. My dad just said to the guy, look, how long have I got? And the guy said to him, well, you've got about 18 months to 2 years. And my dad was diabetic. And he said to these mental words, well, can I eat ice cream? And the doctor sort of looked at him and was like, well, yeah, because you're dieting. So dad was trying to barter off. He says, well, if I eat ice cream, I'll give up 6 months. You know what I mean? If you let me, because he loved his ice cream because he was diabetic. So he was trying to barter time off his life for the ice cream. And he died 2 weeks later. Literally, it was like they gave him a year and a half to 2 years, and 2 weeks later, he'd gone. So that was a shock. I got no one to help me at the shop. He was my, like I say, he was my right man, my van driver. And I just sat there and thought, do I really want to now be going auctions every night after work? Do I want to be lugging furniture? Obviously, I'm getting older, fatter, slower moving, more aches and pains are coming. And I decided to open a vape shop. And purely because I walked up the road, I wanted to start vaping myself. And I walked into a vape shop not too far from mine. I walked in, and when I walked out, I'm a confident lad, I'm a big lad. I walked out, and I felt like they'd belittled me in there because I didn't know anything about vaping. And they were what I call vape geeks. They were behind the counter and they're like sniggering because I was like, well, I just wanted to do this. And I walked out and I thought, there's got to be a better market than me walking out of a shop feeling like I didn't really want to spend my money there. And within 6 weeks, I designed my shop, trashed the inside of it, spent every penny I had again on redoing the shop up. And this is where I am now at Cobden and Sons of Leicester vape shop.
And I was going to say, this isn't any old vape shop either, is it? I mean,
no, I do say it's Cobden and Sons of Leicester, the UK's finest vape shop and lounge is my strapline. And everybody says to me, is it? And I'm like, well, find me a better looking one and I'll take my strapline down. Because as you've said, it's not.
I mean, for those of you who haven't seen the images, you know, put it into Google, look on Insta. I think you'll agree it's a little bit different from your average vape shop.
Yeah, I like to do things different and right.
Did that take off relatively soon, Scott? Because you were in there pretty much at the start, weren't you? I mean, not maybe the actual start.
I wasn't the earliest into the vaping. There was one up the road for myself, like I said, so I thought there's space on Narber Road for another one. One that's done differently, not so stark, white, LED, clinical. When you think of vape shop, that's the first thing that comes into my mind. Glass cabinets and stark white LED lights. So I went for the look that we've got, which is a bit of a more gentleman's smoking room, Chesterfields sort of look, as you've known. And it kicked off pretty quickly, to be fair. Again, like I say, we're fortunate enough to be in a position where I'm 52. Mortgage is not massive now, so I don't need a lot of money to survive now weekly. My wife's in a great profession as well, and it kicked off and it ticked over really, really well. First year we was looking at a good turnover, to be fair. Again, nice little margins. The margins weren't bad, and bang, in comes lockdown. Killed me. Both physically, mentally, tortured me. Because I can't earn no money. I'm supposed to be on my second year. We're supposed to be on an increase year. And we shut down for most of that year. As you know, Leicester was in the longest lockdown. So majority of that year we'd written off. And it was my second year, so I was quite disheartened at the end of that. And it was seriously like, do I want to continue? Because I'd got to start the business again. We'd done this great first year, second year closed, third year in business I should be on a real rise, percentage-wise, and we were starting from afresh. So it was a big kick in the teeth. But the loyalty of my customers saw us through. And yeah, we started picking back up, and bang.
Did you get much financial help during the COVID time, Scott?
Yes. I won't knock it because it's the first time, obviously the first time when we lost my business, there was no financial help, and this was down to bankers basically doing no good. Doing wrong things is why I contributed to start to losing my first business for, and there was no financial help offered towards any smaller business then. But this time, very blinkered, I thought that there was help. There was loans, and at the time they were the cheapest loans you're ever going to get on this planet because they were the cheapest interest rates we've ever seen. So they'd throw 25 grand at you. Well, that was my rent. It was the rates. It was all my overheads I still had to pay, my insurance. So that kept the business open or alive. And cleverly enough, I won't go into the details of how I managed to swing it. I managed to open through some of the lockdown and turn some money over. But it took me a lot of my knowledge and wording of how to get around trading standards telling me I was a non-essential. And I did, and I traded, and that helped. And I got a 10 grand Brucey bonus from Boris, which again, so yeah, they all helped. But I'm paying the loans, but people think we got these loans and you can walk away from them.
Absolutely.
Limited companies, yes, we know what limited companies do. They can walk away from any of these loans. I'm a sole trader. That 25 grand Boris loan will be paid off until it's paid off. And the interest rates are getting higher every month at the minute. So it's not a cheap loan anymore. It's become a standard loan that we're going to pay off, and that'll keep increasing anyway. Yeah. But yes, if it wasn't for that help, I don't think I'd have been here. So I'm not going to knock it, and I will pay it back. It was there because it kept me alive. So yeah, the financial help was there.
Because I remember, I think I might have put something on the socials or whatever, about one of my businesses, and I was saying, I don't care what anybody says anymore. It's going to be open. I don't care who says what. And I remember you coming straight back, and you said, yeah, it's exactly the same, I mean, this was
yeah, I mean, I'd had enough. I've never suffered mental health. I'm pretty fortunate, touch wood, strong mental health-wise. But I could see where this was leading. I realised that my shop was my haven. My daytime away from home, that was my place, that was my zone. So I'd even get to the point during lockdown, I'd ride down to the shop on my bike, and I'd open half the shutter up and I'd stand outside, just to have that routine. I'm glad we came through it. I'm glad it helped come through it. But I weren't taking no more. I wasn't going to stand for this, you do what we say. Because it's all right for them when they've still got a weekly, monthly, annual paycheck going in a bank.
Absolutely.
Covering the bills. We didn't have any of that. It was like do or die for me at the time. So I did. Same as approach you. I don't care what you say now. That's me open. You can take me to prison. You can come and arrest me. And I remember having the police at my shop. I literally stood there the first day after we'd opened during the lockdown where we weren't supposed to. I knew the police on the area because I've lived there all my life. 2 coppers pulls outside my shop. I'd got my door locked because I was letting people knock on the door. So I hadn't got the door wide open. And the police knocked the door, and I opened the door, and the copper I know comes to the door, and his words were, you know what we've come for, don't you? And I went, no, I've no idea. And he went, we've come to tell you to close. And there's 2 of them. And I literally looked out the door, and my words to him were, just 2 of you. And he just stopped dead, and he didn't know where to take this. And I did say to him, I says, can you arrest me? And he went, no. And, excuse me, I said to him, fuck off. And he went, what? I said, because you're wasting your time and mine. I said, come back when you can arrest me. I said, because until then, I don't get to be fucked. And I literally talked to him. And off I went. The following day, trading standard, they reported me to trading standards. So, trading standard, this story, it's hilarious, but it's not the best of stories, if it's funny. So, trading standards comes down, wanted to close me down. And basically, at the end of it, the resolution was I could move my sign 3 foot from where it was that said vape shop to in front of my door, and that'd allow me to stay open. But they closed me down for all that time. And I said to the guy from Trading Standards, there was a lady standing there, and she was taking notes by hand. And I said to the guy, I said, so you're telling me after all this time I've closed and lost business, the resolution to all this is moving that sign from there to here? And he went, yeah. And my wife to him went, you're a CUNT.
Yeah.
And I said to him, are you writing this down? And she went, no. I said, I want you to write it down.
Yeah.
And she went, and I made her write down your cunt on the piece of paper about the guy she was working with. But that's how mental it was.
Yeah.
They'd stopped me earning free best part of a year,
Yep.
and the resolution was moving a sign 3 foot and putting it in front of my door so people couldn't walk in.
Yeah.
Craziness. And if I had stood up to that, where would it stop?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah. And then another kick in the teeth after that is, we spoke before, getting back on my feet then. So we're on this third restart now for my new business. I'm thinking, God, is this really meant to be? And then the council come and dig up the front of my road for 6 months. Non-compensatory scheme, because it was a public space that we're creating. And we lost 56%, I think it was, in turnover in that 6 months, of our annual turnover in that. So this month now, January, is the first month since they reopened that road, and that was end of May, June last year, that we've had 2 months continuous growth as a business since they've done that. So they didn't even trust me. And during that point, I was giving it in. I'd had enough. I was.
Why do you think, Scott? I mean, I'm not even really expecting a definitive answer to this question, but why do you think local authorities seem to treat small businesses with such disdain? Because
it's almost contempt, mate. I don't know. And the older I get, the more apparent it's becoming. People think that as small businesses are conspiracy theorists, that we just think that it's all against us. Prove to us it's not. Knob Road, Braunston Gate. Where I was on Braunston Gate, before this roadworks they put in, we had 18 customer parking spaces. They've removed 18 customer parking spaces and replaced them with 9 disability parking. I've been there for 11 years. I've still, to this day, never seen 9 disabled people use all 9 disabled bays and shop at the same time on Braunston Gate. What I have seen is 15 cars of 15 shoppers parking down there all the time and using the shopping facilities. That's all gone now. So they've driven the parking away from us. They're trying to pedestrianise it as much as they can. And it all feels to drive small businesses away. Yeah. And it is, as a small business owner, that's the feeling. It just feels very personal. And I could take you to any of the shops around there and they'll tell you exactly the same. And as you just said, it's a feeling with lots of small businesses at the minute. We have no say, we don't matter, we don't care. We contribute a hell of a lot to communities, to taxes, to everything that's involved, but we don't seem to get anything back out of it now, which is a shame. And it puts off being in business.
Yeah. Well, let's turn it away from business then, Scott, because you're fairly familiar to most faces around here for a number of reasons. Talk about the music a little bit, because...
Okay, I wondered when that was going to come in. Right, so... music's been part of my life forever, as I said, from the rave scene, the jungle scene, reggae. Again, when jungle first came out, they were using reggae beats, reggae lyrics, reggae bass lines. So reggae's been a big part of my upbringing in a multicultural society that I live. Obviously, Mowmacre, not so multicultural. Knob Road, very multicultural. I spend my day at work now, and I speak to probably 15 nationalities a day. It's great. I can't get to do that anywhere. So music played a big part of my life. Always wanted to be involved in music some way, but never had the time to commit. Life's never been sort of at that point where I can commit what time I need to it. And then last year, back end of last year, beginning last year, back end of the one before, I get a phone call from somebody who's been in the music scene in Leicester for a long time, Danny Townsend Squench. And he said, it's just a mad phone call. My phone rings, and I thought, gosh, Squench, hello, mate. Guess what? I've just bought a sound system. Do you want to be part of it? And bang at that time, everything was in place for me to say, yeah. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. So King Flame, this is us now. So there's 5 of us, me, Danny, Bally Rye, the author of Bally, Kip, Northfields DJ, and Young James. And we've all got, between us, a lot of reggae experience, a lot of musical experience. And what we decided to do is just take reggae sort of back to its basics-ish. Take it to a revival thing where reggae was reggae, where it was actual lyrics, and it's took off. It's done really well. People seem to like us. We seem to like what we do. We love what we're doing. We play for free. We get paid to play, but we play for free at lots of venues. We were the first reggae sound system to play at Leicester Museum at the Cultural Class Block Party by April 22 Arts last year, which is a great accolade. And then we also got asked to play on High Street. So we were the first sound system to play on Leicester's High Street as well, for Amanda at the other festival. And from there, we've done Reggae Upon the Corner. You've obviously seen from my Facebook page. What I decided to do is take reggae back to its roots even further. So we decided to string up the sound outside on the street. And we've utilised this work that they traumatised me with my shop and nearly shut me down, has become Cobbo's Corner. And I've got this lovely shop frontage, and you can all call me two-faced. I love what they've done. It nearly put me out of business. I hated every minute of the work they've done on, but what they've created for us has been really, really good. And I'm enjoying what we've put on there, and we're creating quite a buzz around the area. And after the first one we put on, it was really nice on the Monday to see the council walk by the shop, and one of them to say, we really enjoyed seeing the photos of what you put on at the weekend, because what for us as the council, it's just justified the money we've spent on this area to the people we need to justify it to. So we've now got full blessing, full grace from the police, the council, to put up to, I think it's 40 events on a year. Yeah,
I was going to say, what does the future hold for it?
We've now got a management agency, UMC Management, signed us up, and it's just gigs. So this year now we've got 14 gigs already planned and in place, music calf, hopefully out of Leicester, we've got a couple in Birmingham, and we've also going to start a charitable organisation side of it, and try and take troubled children, teenagers in and show them studio work and mixing work and speakers and how to build and connect and compose and put together. So we're just putting a studio in the back of the shop at the minute.
Yeah.
So this is the line that's going in. So giving something back to the community music-wise.
And just roll it back. Where did the love of reggae come from initially?
For me, it would basically be friends, growing up with friends, back to being 13, 14, dad's side of the city, Tudor side of the city. Lots of black friends. And going around their parents' houses and sitting to their parents' houses and music being on in the background. And just realising, I like this is nice, this is all right. And I seem to always follow that path from there into reggae music, and it's stuck with me forever and a day. And I just enjoy it. It seems to work.
I was going to ask you a couple of questions, Scott, about things you might have done differently in life, because we're probably getting to that stage when we do become a little bit retrospective. There's plenty ahead, but we're also starting to sort of look back.
As I look back, I've definitely got no regrets. One thing I don't regret anything. Life takes you on its path regardless of what you can do, what you can put in, what you can take out. We go down the path regardless, and regrets is something I don't do. Education. One big thing I would do, and I'm putting my daughter on this path now. She's 23. She's a psychologist, assistant psychologist. Very switched on young girl. Residual money, investments. If you've got £1,000 sitting around now, and you can put that to something that will bring you £20 a week in for the next however how long, do it. Do it, and do that as many times as you can. I wish, because I look now and the chances I had and the offers I had of putting money into some airbrain scheme that you've seen it as at the time, which would now be bringing me in not a massive lump sum, but a residual income monthly, annually. It's free money. That's what I'd say to anybody. Now, if you can build residual incomes now, do it while you're young. Do it. Get your money. Don't stick your money in the bank. Don't keep it hoping that the bank's going to make you a millionaire, because the banks will never make you a millionaire. They'll make themselves a millionaire and they'll make you bankrupt. That's what they'll do. Put your money work. Make your money work for you. And I wish I'd have done that earlier, as opposed to concentrating it all on business. I wish I'd have put it into a few other things and had some incomes coming in elsewhere.
And you've had a pretty full and active life, Scott. So what would you say the highlight of it has been?
All of it. No, like I said, I've enjoyed every bit, to be fair. I've really enjoyed it. Highlight-wise, yes, probably knowing you've started a business and still being there now. For me, that's probably the highlight, because every morning I get up, if I don't want to go to work, I don't have to go to work. To have that feeling's massive. To enjoy work, that's another. If I could say to anybody, once you find a job you enjoy, you'll never work again for the rest of your life. And people say that and laugh it off. It's true. Every job I've been so fortunate for Marks Electrical, great career, enjoyed every bit of it. My radiator business, Radiant Radiators, enjoyed every bit of it. Waterproof TV, enjoyed every bit. The vape shop, the second-hand shop, I've always enjoyed what I've done. But it's because I'm passionate about what I do. So I gain great enjoyment from seeing people buy from me and enjoying buying from me. That's a nice thing. Also, one tip I'll give anybody is when you get older, you won't realise it until you get to our sort of age. Find yourself a job that's easy for the end of it. Make life easy for you. If it costs you money, like I said, when my dad passed away, I spent every penny I had to do what I'm doing now. And people, even Amanda said to me, why are you spending all your savings on changing it to a vape shop? And my only thought was, I'm buying myself an easier ride into the end. Because I'm probably going to work till I die. I want to work till I die. I don't want to retire. I've not got retirement, doesn't even enter my head.
Same,
I want to work. I'll do something, whether it's grafted, but I want to be doing something until I pass away. I want to die in the shop. I want somebody to find me dead on my office desk, and I want them to help themselves and rob my till and disappear. then ring the old bills. You know what I mean? That's what I want the story to end as, if they're going to find. Because I will work till I die. Make life easy for yourself. If you've got some savings and you can buy an easier life for the rest of it, and it pay the bills, do it, because you don't want to be grafting all your life. Hard work's kills you. You die, and you die not enjoying yourself. You die being a grafter and a grueler, and try and buy yourself an easy career if you can. That's what I'd definitely.
And the final question, Scott, what's the future got in store for you?
Same as what it is now, mate. I'll be selling vape juice, depending on whether Rishi allows us to sell vape juice by the end of the year. No, this time next year, mate, I could be back in here pleading poverty again. I don't know. Probably carry on what I'm doing. Enjoy what I'm doing. Push this music thing a little bit more than we are. Get more into that, enjoying the music side of career, and just getting on with life, enjoying life, still being me, being nice to people, reaping rewards, holidays, travel. If you can travel, as you know, Bowles travels. God, yeah. I'm talking to money, travel everywhere. One of the big highlights for me in my life, if I have got it, and I know it will resonate with you, and I have mentioned it to you, I was fortunate enough to go Barbados and take Amanda to Barbados last year for her birthday, for her 50th, and we got tickets to a reggae concert while we were there. And it was at the Oval. Never been to the Oval in my life, never seen a game of cricket in Barbados. Always wanted to do something cricket-wise. No cricket on because of the reggae festival, but we gets there and we walks over, gets inside, and we walks in, and I'm looking at the thumb on the grass, and I just looked at where we are positioned. It's dark, but I can see the stage and I can see this pavilion stand behind us. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, we're on the wicket. And the man's gone, what's up with you? And I said, we're standing on the wicket at the Oval. And she was like, and I'm like, what do you mean, and? I said, I don't mind if no artists come on now. I'm on the wicket at the Oval. And the best thing, I'm a smoker. So I ended up standing there having a smoke on the wicket at the Oval, listening to reggae. And I'm like, highlight of my life. That's something as simple as that. But the amount of players, fans like yourselves, that have seen so much action on that wicket, and only certain people can understand when I say to them, whether they're being West Indian people, black people, yourself, cricket fans, and I say to them, and there I was, on the wicket at the Oval, watching the rig, and they don't say who was on stage. They'll go, what, on the actual wicket? And I'm like, yeah, on the actual turf of the wicket. So yeah, that's one of the highlights of my life. I'll bring that one up.
And any last sort of message for maybe either aspiring business people or maybe the youth of Leicester?
Youth of Leicester, stop fixating on being rich quick. Doesn't happen. If you do become rich quick, you don't enjoy it. You don't get the time to appreciate why you've got it. Appreciate what you've got, why you've got it. Enjoy what you've got, why you've got it. Don't save too much money. Spend your money while you're here, because you don't know. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us.
Absolutely.
And I see and I hear stories of so many people living in regret. So I think that's why I don't do regret. If I've got a penny in my pocket, I'm spending 2 pence of it tomorrow. Yeah. That's what we're here for. Work, do your thing, be nice to people. Don't have no enemies. Help people out when you can. Help them that's less fortunate out. Just be it's nice things that you and myself take for granted from our generation. This younger generation could just take a little bit of that off of us. We used to say we could take it off the ones above us, and we're at sort of that level now. So just do what you can to survive and keep going. Don't ever think it's above you, because it's not.
Well, fantastic. Scott, thanks ever so much for coming in today.
I've really enjoyed myself.
It's been a really interesting chat.
Thank you.
You said you didn't think you might be able to fill the hour of the podcast.
Do you know what? I didn't think I'd be able to, through nerves, I think, but yeah, no. I could give us another 2 hours, mate. I could carry on forever. There's as everybody who's been in, they same Ligo when Ligo was on, and all the others have been in. Yeah. They've all said the same. I could carry on forever, mate. And it's been a real pleasure. You've made it very easy. Thank you very much.
No problem. Well, thanks very much, Scott.
Much appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
Take care.